What's going on, everybody? We got a carport ready. The idea now is to bring my customers here, make use of this, make the money here. I got the floor mats, I got all my tools in there. So here we are with the babies. Right now the idea is to jump Lexi and drive it in there so we can start prepping it for the engine swap. Now the reason why we're doing a swap, it's because on this car this engine has a different block. It's a non-VVTi from a 1996 GS300, which means that it has a strong internal, which means that it's ready for boost. Or probably like 2 years ago, I did every single seal, every single gasket, GTE head gasket, and of course the non-VVTi block. But since the accident that I got in this car, I have not driven it at all. So we have been driving an Alexa, but it's been misfiring. It misfires a little bit. It's got low compression on cylinder number 3. All the cylinders were like 160 or 180 in compression, and cylinder number 3 was on 80 or 90. We gotta start Lexi. We gotta drive it forward. I think it's out of fuel. Alright, we'll spray some carb cleaner in there. Should start now. There he goes. Alright, so as you can see, Lexi is running healthy. And you wouldn't think that this has low compression. I'm gonna take it for a drive right now, and you wouldn't think that it has low compression. We're already upgraded to JC right here. Right here it's not running that great because the throttle body is bad, so it's not idling as smooth as it should. The throttle body's bad, so once I swapped everything, I gotta swap the throttle body. But yeah, you got both here. And see, you wouldn't think that it has low compression at all. Alright, we're gonna move this over there. I'm gonna disconnect the cables. Hopefully it won't die. I know it will die, but hopefully it won't die as quick. Fucker. As soon as I put it in and drive it, shut off. Alright, so let's try this again.
A few moments later.
Alright, so we were able to move Lexi. It just died. We got over here. We got all this space for the engine hoist. And then we're gonna put Alexa right here. We're gonna kind of angle it. That we should get enough space. I'm just still debating. So on the 2000, I already replaced the transmission. The transmission that is in this GS supposed to be like a transmission with 130,000 miles. I replaced the transmission because when I bought the car, the transmission was failing in second. It was not shifting to second. So I replaced the transmission supposedly for a good one, and it still doesn't have second. So by some research that I did, it's supposed to be the ECU. It's not supposed to be a transmission issue, which makes me think that the transmission is good. Right? So now, do I just swap the engines, or do I swap the engine and the transmission? Like, I know that transmission has been running good, but this transmission was also running good, and it's supposed to be good. The ECU is what is supposed to be bad. But I'm about to swap them. I don't know if I should keep the transmission in it and just swap the engines, or take engine and transmission out and swap it. The reason why I would like to do engine and transmission is because the transmission in this car I have serviced it, and it's supposed to be lower mileage. The transmission on that GS I have not serviced it, and it's like a 240,000 miles. If we were to swap engines, do you think that it's easier to just swap the engine or to swap engine with the transmission? Now, I have never swapped an engine and transmission together. I have not. I have only taken engines out by themselves, and I have taken transmissions out by themselves. So I have never taken an engine with a transmission attached. So I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know if it's actually gonna be harder. It did not misfire a single time. It misfires only on certain moments. Itself drives really good. On low throttle, that's when specifically it misfires. You probably heard it. You probably heard it.
Two hours later.
Still the same day, but I changed clothes. I went to buy some stuff. We got a low leveler, some more jack stands. So I already had those two jack stands, but I went to get two more. We're just prepping the cars. We're not really gonna do much today. All I'm doing is draining the coolant off of this one. Coolant's drained off of that one. I'm gonna get that one on jack stands, and that might be it. I'm gonna start tomorrow early in the morning, and we'll see how long it takes me to do this. We got the engine hoist ready over there, and I think we're ready. We'll come back tomorrow in the morning.
12 seconds later.
Alright, so I got a little carried away. We got the front end of Lexi, and right now we're getting the Freon out of Alexa. Yes, that's the professional way, yes. It's been probably, I don't know, maybe like 15 to 20 minutes that it took me to get the front end out.
The next day.
Alright, so this is day 2 of swapping the engines. Yesterday we removed the front end of both cars, jacking the cars up and taking the front end. I spent a little bit over an hour and everything, and tried to get them both done today. So let's get it.
20 minutes later.
Alright, we're making good progress. Part of the harness out of the way. We got the intake off. We also got this loose. I don't know if this is part of what's wrong with this engine. I believe so, but cylinder 3 is the one that was misfiring, and cylinder 3, as soon as I removed the exhaust manifold, oil started leaking from it. Does that mean that the problem is actually in the rings, so the block is what's bad? Because what I think that's bad in this engine is that the valves are bent, but I'm not sure.
20 minutes later.
Alright, here's another update. I got the wiring harness totally out of the way. Everything disconnected. The compressor's free, the pump is free, everything, the starter's free. I just removed the exhaust manifold. This bitch pretty much ready to come out. All right, engine's almost out. Okay, we got the engine and transmission right here. The dirty old 2JZ. I undid the motor mounts from underneath and there was no need, like they were totally gone. Yeah, we got one out. Now we're gonna get this out. So this one, it's going in there. Like, it's going in the hoist and it's going straight into this car. And then this one, we'll put it over here. We got our other engine out. Me thinking that, yes, because I got the floor mats, it's easy that these roll. I mean, yes, it rolls, but not as easy as I thought. I think that engine and transmission together, it might be like 400 kilograms, more or less. And trying to roll that on rubber mats on top of gravel, it's not fun. Every time it gets stuck, I need to use the jack, give it a little bit of distance between the tire and the mat, and then I can start pulling. Now, right now I have only pulled. I have not really pushed an engine in. The hoist, it's a little too short. I'm not sure if it will go in very smooth. But we're gonna try it. This block is different than that block. So that block has stronger internals. This block is from a non-VVTi 2JC. So the internals in this are stronger. So that block is ready for boost. The whole engine is ready for boost. I did every single seal, every gasket, every O-ring, everything that you could do maintenance possibly, I did it to that engine. It's got GT head gasket and it's got a different block, so it has stronger internals. Now, for anybody wanting to do this, only thing that I did is bought a block from 1996 GS300, which is the older generation of the GS300, which came with a 2JC non-VVTi. That non-VVTi block, that's what you want because it has strong internals. And you want to keep the VVTi head for drifting. So this going back in here. And now, last time that I did this swap on Lexi, probably like 2 years ago, I didn't know that the block had different mounting points. So when I was putting the engine back in, I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna have a motor mount on the exhaust. So what I did this plate. This plate bolted right here on the hole right here and the hole right here. It will bolt something like that. And then it would have bolts like this to hold the motor mount. So this was a custom plate that I cut and made just on the last minute, just to be able to drive my car home, and it lasted quite a while. You can see that it's broken already, but it worked. Now, before I did this swap, that was something that was in the back of my mind. Like, am I gonna really have to reuse that ugly ass plate? So I got online, I got in groups, and everybody told me just to use another intake side hard bracket. So that's what we got here. We have another intake side bracket instead of using the exhaust. So apparently the intake one will bolt on the whole of the block, and it will also fit on the frame. That's very interesting that they work that way, which is great. Beautiful Toyotas. But I wish I knew that 2 years ago, because that metal plate probably stopped me for a whole day when that happened. But this time I'm prepared, so let's see how it goes. Alright, so here's a comparison. This is the non-VVTi block. And this is the VVTi block. So as you see, it has 4 different mounting holes. It still has the one from the non-VVTi, but it has 4 extra ones. Took a shit ton longer than I thought. Well, now that I see the camera, it's not that long, it was on 30 minutes. We got the engine in. Motor mount. It felt like a fucking glove. That's unbelievable and that's amazing. And that's really good knowledge. So, engine's in, nothing's bolted, but the engine's in. It was a pain in the ass because there's not enough room, and as you can see, like this, if it was in the middle, it would be like all the way right here. And I do have one more, 1/4 of a ton. I think that the engine and the transmission weighs more than 1/4 of a ton, so I didn't want to risk it. But luckily, the load leveler gave us a little bit of extra space, and we have this thing. I cannot really explain how life-saving that pry bar has been in so many different scenarios. But specifically when putting an engine in, my God, it makes a difference. Now, I was talking earlier about the struggle of rolling the hoist, the rubber mats. Well, this is what I was doing. So I was putting the pry bar down here, and then I would lift, and slowly I got it to crawl inside again, because sliding, like rolling with the engine and the transmission in here, it was not fun. That was definitely a 2-people job, not a 1-person job. But we got it. It's all good. Now, will it run today?
1 hour later.
We got the engine all the way in. We got everything underneath already on. Transmission, wirings, transmission mount, drive shaft, exhaust is in. Everything underneath is connected. Transmission mount, grounds, fuel, starter. So I think that I already got the most time-consuming thing, which was putting the engine in and dealing with the stuff underneath. Everything at the top is pretty easy, but the fact of getting the engine in and out takes a while. And because I don't have a lift, being on the floor, it's also pain in the ass. And with this car being super low, and with this not being concrete, it's a little sketchy to have it up. And to have it up high enough for me to be comfortable down there, it gets very sketchy. So yeah, we're doing our best. We're also taking our time. We're being safe. We're doing everything right. But we're making progress. We started about 7:30 a.m. today, and right now is almost 3 o'clock. So it's been about 7 hours. I think that 2 more hours, I'll be starting it. So let's get it. Let's keep going. Everything's in. The car's pretty much ready to start. All I need to do is put coolant, put power steering fluid, and I'm still missing the front end, but I can already start it.
Eventually. A few moments later.
Pretty good. It's about 5 p.m. That's about what I estimated to finish. I thought I was gonna finish by 6, and I finished by 5. Of course, I did not finish both cars. I think that would have been a lot. I would have loved to though. I think that finishing one's more than enough. Today I removed 2 engines, 2 transmissions, and I installed 1 engine and 1 transmission. So we're gonna leave the other Lexus for tomorrow. I'm way too tired. I'm way too hungry. I'm about to roll a blunt and go get some food. This shit's running.
The next day.
So it's the next day. Yesterday we didn't finish that because once I took this for a drive, engine wise perfect, no more misfire, the engine sounded really good. But once I was almost done with the test drive, the traction light starts blinking and then the car starts beeping, and all of a sudden the car starts braking on itself. So I'm like, what the fuck? And it did that like 2 or 3 times on the drive back from the test drive. So, and every time I would put first gear, like low gear, I would hear a clank, 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 clank. So yeah, so I was already very tired. I was hungry. I came back, I parked the car and called it a day. So today we're back. Right now is lifted. Super sketchy on the gravel. I miss working on concrete so much. But yeah. So what I did right now, on the transmission, I replaced this sensor because as you can see, it got burned from the crash. I wasn't actually taking that into consideration at all. That the flames were exactly underneath. So the wiring harness on top of the transmission on that car is pretty much toast. So I did not take that into consideration. Probably if I'd have thought of that before, I would have just swapped the engines and left the transmissions alone. But here we are. Yeah, this is this sensor that right now we replaced, and also the transmission mount is broken. On both transmissions, the mount is broken, so the transmission was not centered. It was a little bit to the right, exactly where the shift linkage is. So every time I would put first gear, the car would clank, 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 because the drive shaft would hit the shifter. So yeah, that's what we are on right now. We're done with it. I also tied down a transmission line that was loose and was leaking. I finished putting on another bracket from underneath that I forgot. Well, I didn't forget, I just didn't want to put it on. But yeah, we're about to take it for a test drive again. Hopefully it will be good now, because it was not giving me any codes. I'll probably at least drive it long enough so that at least it gives me a code or something. I don't want to swap now the transmissions. Like, I have not put this engine in there. Like, probably would have continued a little bit more yesterday, and I didn't continue just because I still don't know if I need this in this car. That's not really that big of a deal. The car's going manual at some point. I just wanted to drive fine for now. Over here, I have a manual transmission for it. I just need to get everything to do the swap, and it's quite a bit of work. But now we got the roof. Now we can also leave cars, and we got displays, so we can just leave cars there and keep working on them little by little. It's a little uncomfortable on the gravel. We've been using the mats, and I'll get creative again somehow. I'll probably get more mats. We're about to start getting customers tomorrow, hopefully. So yeah, let's go test drive it. Hopefully we can come back and just throw this engine back in this car and keep going.
Later.
Alright, so the test drive was a success. That sensor did fix our issue, and the transmission indeed was angled to the passenger side, so it was hitting the drive shaft, was hitting the gear selector. Other than that, we fixed the rattle, and it's good for now. So at least I'm confident I can put this engine and transmission in here. Now GS drives perfectly. The engine's mint, the transmission's in good condition. So now time will tell. And we gotta get this engine back in there so that we can clean and make space here. Because I wanna be able to work on customers' cars comfortable without having to be working around my mess, you know? Yes, that's gonna be part of it, but I'd like to be as organized as possible. So for now, Alexa's good. I'll record a test drive. Once I'm done with Lexi, I'll have to go get some coolant, so I'll do a test drive right there. But right now, we're gonna get this engine back in there. We can move it. So we are on the official test drive. So we already drove it for a little bit. I'm confident that it's good. It didn't do what it was doing earlier. But right now it's gonna be the actual test drive. We're gonna drive it all the way to AutoZone. We're gonna pick up some coolant. We're gonna grab probably some oil to do an oil change in this. This drive is so good.
Three hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Alright, so everything's back together. Everything's connected. Everything's hooked up. All I need to do is put the jumping cables, start it. That's about it.